Welcome to the Deep Dive. I'm George, founder of Mind Technology, and I'm thrilled to have you here. For over 8 years, I've worked alongside medical societies to empower them with tools, knowledge, and strategies to create meaningful change. Before we begin, let me introduce two unique voices you'll be hearing, Matt and Jane. Both are powered entirely by AI, and they represent what this podcast is all about, using artificial intelligence in a positive and impactful way. In the deep dive, we share research, studies, and actionable insights that have the potential to heal and transform. Whether you're part of a professional society, an event organizer, or just someone passionate about innovation, this is a space for you. Now, let's explore how AI can revolutionize the way we solve problems and uncover opportunities. Welcome to the deep dive. Let's dive in.
All right, everybody, welcome to another deep dive. This time into something I will admit kind of sounds like science fiction.
Yeah, right.
Large action models, LLMs,
Yeah.
for short.
Lambs.
But this isn't sci-fi. This is actually happening right now. And especially if you are in the world of medical societies or, you're running events or whatever, this is something that you should be paying attention to because it could change the game.
And what's interesting is that lambs aren't just a buzzword. It's not just like, oh, another one of these.
Yeah.
It's a real leap forward in what AI can do, even compared to LLMs like ChatGPT that we've all been playing with.
Right, exactly. I mean, we've all, I think I saw a thing on LinkedIn the other day that was like the top 10 prompts for medical professionals and ChatGPT. It was fun.
Yeah.
Let's go write a limerick about cardiology or whatever it is.
Sure.
But that's still, it's reacting to, the prompts that we're giving.
Yeah.
Lambs are different because they can act, they're not just understanding language.
Right.
They're able to act on that understanding, which is...
It's a big leap. So think of it like this. You're an executive director.
Okay.
And you're planning the annual conference for your society. LLMs are like having a bunch of super smart interns.
Okay.
They're going to write up those event descriptions. They're going to summarize speaker bios, maybe draft some social media posts. But they need instructions every step of the way.
Oh, okay. I see where you're going with this. So if LLMs are like the interns, then where do lambs fit in? Are they like the seasoned event planner who just gets things done?
Exactly.
Okay.
They not only do all that basic stuff,
You can.
but they can take initiative. Imagine an AI that's analyzing registration data in real time. It's anticipating attendance spikes for certain sessions.
Wow.
And then it proactively adjusts room capacities or suggests additional breakout rooms.
Okay, hold on, back up for a second. So what exactly is a lamb?
Yeah.
How is it doing all of this?
Sure. So at its core, a LLM combines that language processing power of an LLM with the ability to make decisions and take actions within a specific environment. It's not just understanding words.
Okay.
It's understanding context, predicting what might happen next, and taking the most effective action based on those things.
So it's like they have this built-in knowledge
In a way.
of how medical conferences work.
Yeah.
Like they know if a hot new research topic comes out,
Right.
you're going to need more space for that session.
Let's say you're using a LLM to manage your conference app.
Okay.
And attendees are constantly searching for a specific type of session, and they're struggling to find it.
Yeah.
The LLM will pick up on that. It has the self-reflection module that's constantly analyzing how users are interacting with it, and then it starts to suggest improvements behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Maybe the search function needs to be tweaked, or sessions need to be categorized differently.
Wow, that's impressive. It's like it's learning and adapting in real time.
Right.
How does it learn, though? Is it just being fed tons of data about medical conferences? Or
Well, data is definitely part of it.
Right.
But they also learn by interacting with the world around them. So they're constantly observing user behavior, analyzing feedback, and adjusting their actions to achieve a specific goal.
Yeah.
Let's go back to that conference example.
Okay.
Imagine the LLM is managing attendee recommendations.
Right.
So it might suggest sessions to an attendee based on their past behavior, but it also pays attention to whether they actually attend those sessions or not.
So if I keep ignoring the recommendations for, all the cardiology sessions,
Right.
It'll eventually learn that, okay, this person really isn't into cardiology so much, and it'll adjust the recommendations.
Exactly. And it's not just about those individual preferences. It's also looking across all attendees.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it might notice a surge in interest in a certain topic and proactively suggest to you, the event planner, hey, maybe we should add more sessions on this topic.
That's wild.
Invite some additional speakers.
Okay.
Maybe we should adjust the entire program.
This is incredible. It's like having a superpower assistant who can not only handle the logistics, but give me insights.
Yeah.
This seems like it could be a game changer, not just for events, but all sorts of things that medical societies do.
Absolutely. Think about membership engagement, for instance.
Okay.
A LLM can analyze your member data to identify those who are at risk of lapsing their membership,
Well, that's interesting.
and then proactively reach out to them with personalized messages, maybe suggesting relevant resources or events that might re-engage them.
Wow. So instead of just, reacting when somebody's already disengaged, you're using AI to prevent that from even happening in the first place.
Exactly.
It's like predictive medicine, but for your membership.
Exactly. You got it.
That's brilliant.
And you know what's really cool is that LLMs are constantly learning and evolving.
Mm-hmm.
So as more data becomes available, as researchers continue to refine these models, their capabilities are only going to become more sophisticated and more powerful.
I'm already starting to see how this could revolutionize how medical societies work. But before we get too carried away, I think we need to address the big elephant in the room. How do we make sure that these LLMs are used responsibly and ethically, especially when dealing with sensitive member data?
Yeah, that's a really important point. We need to be very mindful of data privacy and security.
Right.
We have to make sure that the LLMs we're using are built with really robust security measures in place, and that the data they have access to is handled responsibly and ethically.
All right, so it's clear that LLMs have amazing potential,
Mm-hmm.
but we got to approach this technology with caution and make sure that it's developed and deployed responsibly. So what are some of the concrete benefits that we're actually seeing from these early LLM implementations, especially in the context of medical societies and the events they put on and all that?
Yeah, so we've seen some really impressive results in terms of user engagement.
Okay.
There was one study that found that using a LLM to personalize conference recommendations actually led to a significant increase in session attendance and overall attendee satisfaction. We're talking about improvements of over 100% in some cases.
Wait, 100% improvement?
Yeah, it's not just a marginal gain.
That's wild.
It's a transformation.
And it's not just about engagement, though, right? Because I think I read before that they can also help with accessibility,
Right.
which is a huge deal in the world of medical societies these days.
Absolutely. LLMs can make events and resources more accessible to people with disabilities.
Okay.
For example, they can adapt content delivery based on the user's preferences, maybe by providing audio descriptions for visually impaired attendees or adjusting font sizes for folks with low vision.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
It sounds like they can not only make things more efficient
Yeah.
and engaging, but also more inclusive.
Yeah.
And this is all still early days, right? I mean, I imagine the possibilities are only going to expand as this technology keeps evolving.
You're right. We're just scratching the surface
Yeah.
here. But the early results are super promising. I think it's safe to say that LLMs are going to revolutionize the way medical societies operate and engage with their members.
Okay, I'm definitely starting to get the hype now.
Yeah.
This is all super exciting, but I think a lot of our listeners out there are probably wondering, okay, this sounds amazing, but is this actually something that's feasible for my medical society?
Right?
How do we even begin to explore this technology?
First of all, don't be intimidated.
Okay.
There are resources out there. There are experts who can help you navigate this new landscape.
Okay.
Start by doing some research, attend some webinars and conferences, connect with other medical societies that are already experimenting with LLMs.
That's great advice. And we'll make sure to include some links to helpful resources in the show notes for this episode.
Perfect.
And remember, you don't have to go all in right away.
Right.
Start small experiment with a few specific use cases and see how it goes.
Exactly. Find the right fit for your organization and take a measured approach. And don't be afraid to get creative. Think about what your unique challenges are, what your opportunities are within your society, and how LLMs could potentially address those things.
All right, so we've kind of laid the groundwork here. We've explored some of the potential benefits. We've even touched on some of the ethical considerations. I think now it's time to dive a little bit deeper into how this stuff actually works.
Okay.
How do LLMs actually work their magic? What's going on under the hood?
Well, without getting too technical, LLMs rely on a combination of advanced AI techniques, including things like deep learning, reinforcement learning, and natural language processing.
Okay, I'm already feeling a little lost. Can you break that down for us, non-techies?
Sure. Think of it like this deep learning allows the lamb to analyze huge amounts of data and identify patterns that humans might miss.
Okay.
Reinforcement learning enables it to learn from its interactions and continuously get better at what it's doing.
Okay.
And then natural language processing allows it to understand and generate human language, which is essential for interacting with users and interpreting data.
Okay, so it's like this whole symphony of different AI techniques,
Right.
all working together to create this intelligent and autonomous agent.
Yeah.
But how do those techniques translate into concrete actions? Can you give us an example of how a lamb might actually function within a medical society?
Sure. Let's imagine a lamb is being used to manage continuing medical education for your society's members.
Okay, CME. That's
Exactly. The lamb would analyze each member's profile, including their specialty past CME activities, even their learning preferences.
Okay.
And based on that data, it would then suggest personalized CME courses and resources.
That makes sense, but what makes that different from just a traditional CME recommendation system?
So a traditional system might simply suggest courses based on a member's specialty,
Right.
or maybe their past activity.
Okay.
But a LLM can go a step further. It can analyze the content of each CME course, assess its relevance to the member's specific needs,
Oh.
and even predict how likely the member is to engage with that particular course based on their learning style and preferences.
So it's not just recommending, any old cardiology course to a cardiologist.
Right.
It's finding the right cardiology course that's going to resonate with them and help them improve their knowledge and skills.
Exactly. And that's just the beginning. The LLM could also track the member's progress through the course, provide personalized feedback and support, and even suggest additional resources or activities to reinforce their learning.
That's incredible. So it's like you have a dedicated CME mentor
Right.
for each and every member.
You got it.
This is wild. It feels like we're talking about the future of personalized learning here. But before we get too carried away, I think it's time for us to take a short break. When we come back, we'll delve even deeper into the world of LLMs, exploring their potential impact on research collaboration and the future of medical societies as a whole. Stay tuned.
Do you want to create a podcast just like this one and start using AI technology to engage with your members? Get in contact with Mind Technology. We will help you out throughout the process.
Welcome back. Before the break, we were talking about how LLMs could revolutionize continuing medical education for each member. Now, let's shift gears and explore how this same technology could revolutionize research collaboration within medical societies.
Okay, research collaboration, that's a big one. I mean, medical societies has always played a role in connecting researchers, but it often feels like a slow and serendipitous process. How could LLMs change that?
Imagine you're a researcher studying a rare disease. You're looking for other researchers who are working on similar projects, but it's like searching for a needle in a haystack. Traditional methods involve combing through databases, attending conferences, and relying on word of mouth.
Right, and even then, you might miss out on potential collaborators simply because you're not in the right place at the right time. It can be frustratingly inefficient.
Exactly. But now imagine a LLM that can analyze research papers, conference presentations, grant applications, and even social media activity to identify researchers who are working on similar topics or using similar methodologies.
Wait, so you're saying a LLM could actually understand the content of scientific papers and identify connections that might not be obvious to a human observer?
That's the power of these advanced AI models. They can process vast amounts of information and identify patterns that would be impossible for a human to detect. The LLM could then proactively suggest potential collaborators to researchers, facilitating connections that might never have happened otherwise.
Oh, that's incredible. It's like having a matchmaker for researchers, connecting people based on shared interests and expertise.
And it's not just about connecting researchers who are working on identical projects. The LLM could also identify researchers who are working on complementary aspects of a broader problem.
Okay, I'm starting to see the real potential here. For example, you might have one researcher who's an expert in genetics, another who specializes in imaging, and a third who focuses on clinical trials. A LLM could connect these researchers, realizing they're all working towards a common goal, even if they're approaching it from different angles.
Precisely. And by facilitating these collaborations, the LLM could accelerate the pace of research and lead to breakthroughs that might not have been possible otherwise.
This is mind-blowing. But I have to ask, what about the practicalities? I mean, researchers are already inundated with information. Wouldn't a LLM just add to the noise?
That's a valid concern. But remember, LLMs are not just about providing information, they're about providing the right information at the right time.
So it's not about bombarding researchers with a million potential collaborations. It's about curating a select few that are highly relevant and likely to be fruitful.
Exactly. The LAM would use its understanding of the researcher's work, their goals, and even their personality to filter out the noise and present only the most promising connections. It's like having a personal research assistant who's constantly scouring the landscape for the best opportunities.
Okay, I'm sold. This is seriously impressive. But let's step back for a moment and consider the bigger picture. We've talked about events, education research. All of these are important functions of medical societies. But what about the overall mission of these societies? How can LAMs help them fulfill that mission?
At their core, medical societies are about advancing the field of medicine and improving patient care, and LAMs have the potential to be powerful tools in achieving those goals.
So it's not just about making things more efficient or streamlining processes. It's about using AI to actually improve patient outcomes.
Absolutely. Imagine a LAM that can analyze data from electronic health records, clinical trials, and even patient forums to identify trends and patterns in disease progression or treatment response. This information could be invaluable for developing new treatment guidelines, identifying potential research avenues, and ultimately providing better care to patients.
That's incredible. It's like having a superpowered brain that can sift through all of this data and extract insights that would be impossible for a human to see.
And it's not just about analyzing existing data. LAMs can also be used to generate new knowledge. For example, they could be used to design and run virtual clinical trials, identify potential drug targets, or even develop personalized treatment plans.
Okay, this is starting to feel like something straight out of a science fiction movie, but it's actually happening right now. It's amazing to think about the potential impact this technology could have on the future of medicine.
And it's not just about the technology itself, it's about how we use it. Medical societies have a unique opportunity to lead the way in responsible AI development and deployment within the healthcare sector.
So it's not just about adopting the latest shiny AI toy. It's about thinking carefully about how we can use this technology to truly benefit patients and advance the field of medicine in a responsible and ethical way.
Precisely. And that requires collaboration, open dialogue, and a willingness to embrace new ideas and approaches. Medical societies need to work closely with researchers, ethicists, and policymakers to ensure that AI is used for good and that its benefits are shared equitably across all segments of society.
Right, so we've covered a lot of ground today, from personalized education to research collaboration to the future of patient care. But I have to admit, I'm still a bit curious about the technical details. How do these LAMs actually learn and adapt? What's going on under the hood?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, LAMs rely on a combination of advanced AI techniques. One of the key techniques is something called reinforcement learning.
Reinforcement learning. That sounds familiar. Isn't that how they train those chess-playing AI programs that can beat grandmasters?
You're exactly right. Reinforcement learning is all about teaching an AI agent to make decisions by rewarding it for good behavior and penalizing it for bad behavior.
So, in the context of medical societies, how would that work?
Let's say you're using a LAM to manage membership engagement. The LAM might experiment with different strategies for reaching out to members, such as personalized emails, targeted social media ads, or even phone calls.
And based on how members respond to each strategy, the LAM learns which approaches are most effective.
Exactly. If a particular email campaign leads to a high rate of engagement, the LAM will be rewarded for that behavior and will be more likely to use similar strategies in the future. Conversely, if a strategy proves ineffective, the LAM will be penalized and will adjust its approach accordingly.
That's fascinating. So it's not just about programming the LAM with a set of rules, it's about giving it the ability to learn and adapt based on its own experiences.
Precisely. And that's what makes LAMs so powerful. They're not just static programs, they're constantly evolving and improving, just like human learners.
This is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see how this technology could truly revolutionize the way we work and interact with the world. But before we get too carried away, I think it's important to address the potential risks and challenges associated with LAMs.
Absolutely. As with any powerful technology, there are potential downsides that we need to be aware of and address proactively.
Okay, so let's talk about those risks. What are some of the things we need to be mindful of as we explore the potential of LAMs?
One of the key concerns is data privacy. LAMs rely on access to large amounts of data to function effectively. We need to be very careful about how that data is collected, stored, and used to ensure that we're protecting individual privacy and confidentiality.
That's a crucial point, especially in the healthcare sector, where we're dealing with highly sensitive information.
Exactly. We need to establish clear guidelines and protocols for data governance and ensure that any LAMs we use are compliant with relevant privacy regulations.
What about algorithmic bias? We've seen examples of AI systems perpetuating existing biases, often due to biases in the data they were trained on. Is this a concern with LLMs as well?
Absolutely. Algorithmic bias is a serious issue that we need to address head-on. We need to be very careful about the data we use to train LLMs and ensure that it's representative of the diverse populations we serve.
So it's not just about having a lot of data, it's about having good data, data that's inclusive and unbiased.
Exactly. And we also need to develop mechanisms for detecting and mitigating bias in LLMs once they're deployed. This might involve ongoing monitoring, regular audits, and even mechanisms for users to flag potential biases they observe.
Okay, so data privacy and algorithmic bias are two key concerns.
Right.
Are there any other risks we should be aware of?
Another potential risk is the issue of transparency and explainability. As LLMs become more complex and sophisticated, it can be difficult to understand how they're making decisions. This lack of transparency can raise concerns about accountability and trust.
That makes sense. If we're going to be relying on these AI systems to make important decisions, we need to be able to understand the reasoning behind those decisions.
Exactly. We need to develop techniques for making LLMs more transparent and explainable. This might involve creating tools that allow users to see how the LLM arrived at a particular decision, or developing methods for auditing LLMs to ensure they're operating as intended.
Okay, so we've covered data privacy, algorithmic bias, and transparency. Are there any other risks or challenges we should be thinking about?
One final challenge I'd like to mention is the issue of human-AI collaboration. LLMs are powerful tools, but they're not a replacement for human expertise and judgment.
So it's not about letting the AI take over. It's about finding ways for humans and AI to work together effectively.
Precisely. We need to design LLMs in a way that supports human-AI collaboration, providing users with the information and tools they need to make informed decisions.
This all makes sense. But I have to admit, it's a lot to take in. It seems like there are a lot of potential pitfalls to navigate as we explore the potential of LLMs.
You're right, it's not a simple path, but I believe the potential benefits of LLMs are too great to ignore. By addressing these risks head-on and working collaboratively to develop responsible AI solutions, we can harness the power of this technology to truly transform the field of medicine and improve patient care.
Okay, so we've talked about the risks, but let's not forget about the incredible possibilities. Before we wrap up this segment, I want to hear your thoughts on the future of LLMs in healthcare. What are some of the things you're most excited about?
Well, one area I'm particularly excited about is the potential for LLMs to personalize medicine. Imagine a LLM that can analyze a patient's entire medical history, their genetic profile, their lifestyle factors, and even their social determinants of health to develop a truly individualized treatment plan.
That's incredible. It's like having a custom-tailored treatment plan for every patient, taking into account all of the factors that contribute to their health and well-being.
Exactly. And it's not just about treating existing conditions. LLMs could also be used to predict and prevent disease, identifying individuals who are at risk and intervening early to improve their long-term health outcomes.
Wow, that's a game changer. We're talking about a future where healthcare is truly proactive and personalized, tailored to each individual's unique needs and circumstances.
Precisely. And that's just one example. LLMs have the potential to revolutionize every aspect of healthcare, from drug discovery to clinical trials to patient education.
This is all incredibly exciting. But I think we need to take another short break to let our listeners process all of this information. When we come back, we'll explore some concrete steps that medical societies can take to start exploring the potential of LLMs and prepare for the future of AI in healthcare. Don't go anywhere. Okay, we're back, and I think the big question on everybody's mind right now is what can we actually do to get ready for this LLM-powered future? I think it's easy to get overwhelmed by all of this stuff.
Yeah.
But what are some practical steps people can take?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The first step is really just to stay informed.
Okay.
This AI landscape is changing so rapidly, so make it a habit to read industry news, attend webinars, follow the thought leaders in this space.
Yeah.
The more you understand, the better equipped you'll be to make smart decisions for your society.
It's like anything else, knowledge is power.
Absolutely.
But beyond just, staying informed, how can medical societies actually start exploring how to practically apply LLMs within their own organizations?
I think a good starting point is to think about your biggest pain points.
Okay.
Those areas where you feel like you're constantly playing catch up. Is it member engagement? Is it event planning?
Yeah.
Continuing education?
Right.
Once you've identified those key areas, then you can start brainstorming how a LLM could potentially help.
So it's like a brainstorming session, but with AI in mind.
Exactly.
Get your team together.
Yeah.
Whiteboard some ideas.
Right.
See where the conversation goes.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to think big and get creative.
Yeah.
Maybe you envision a LLM that can analyze member feedback to tailor your educational offerings more effectively. Or perhaps you imagine a LAM that can help you identify emerging trends in your field so you can be proactive in developing relevant resources and programs.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
It's about, looking beyond the obvious and really seeing how this technology can completely transform our society.
Yeah.
But let's be real here. Most medical societies don't have AI experts on staff. So where do they go for help to actually implement some of these ideas?
You don't need to become AI experts overnight.
Yeah.
There are fantastic resources available. There are consulting firms, tech companies specializing in AI development, even university research labs that are eager to collaborate with organizations like yours.
Okay, that's a relief to hear. So it's about, finding the right partners who can guide you through this whole process and help you build the AI solutions that actually fit your needs. But even with the right partners in place, this is still new territory for most medical societies.
Sure.
Any tips for navigating those early stages of implementation?
My advice would be to start small.
Okay.
Focus on a specific use case.
Oh.
Don't try to do everything at once.
Yeah.
Choose a pilot project that has a clear objective, measurable outcomes.
Right.
This will allow you to learn from the process, demonstrate the value of LAMs to your stakeholders, and build some momentum for future AI initiatives.
That's great advice. Start small, iterate.
Right.
Prove the concept before you go all in. I mean, that's a smart approach with any new technology, but especially AI.
Yeah.
Because there's so much hype and so much uncertainty, I feel like, surrounding it.
There is.
So it's got to be really strategic and thoughtful in your approach.
You've hit the nail on the head. The hype is real, but so is the potential. The societies that are going to thrive in this new AI-powered future are going to be the ones that are willing to embrace change, experiment, and learn as they go.
It's about being agile, adaptable, open to these new possibilities. It's really about fostering that culture of innovation within your organization. And I think it's also about recognizing that this is not just an IT issue. This is a strategic issue that requires leadership buy-in from the top.
I completely agree. It's a leadership challenge as much as a technological one. It requires leaders who understand the potential of AI, who are willing to invest in the necessary resources, and who can really articulate a clear vision for how AI is going to transform their organization.
Man, this has been such a great conversation.
Yeah.
I know our listeners are out there just buzzing with ideas right now.
Me too.
But before we wrap up, I want to leave everybody with one final thought. This technology is evolving so quickly. It's only going to become more powerful, more pervasive in the coming years. It's really not a question of if AI is going to change healthcare. It's a question of how. And the choices that we make today are really going to shape that future for years to come.
I couldn't agree more. The future of healthcare is being written right now.
Yeah.
And medical societies have a critical role to play in shaping that future.
Right.
By embracing the potential of LAMs, by being mindful of the ethical considerations, and by working together to develop responsible AI solutions, we can create a future where healthcare is more personalized, more effective, and more equitable for everyone.
That's a fantastic way to put it. We've really explored the what, the why, and the how of LAMs.
I think so.
Now it's up to all of you listening to take this knowledge
Right.
and turn it into action. Start those conversations, explore the possibilities, and don't be afraid to push the boundaries of what's possible. Who knows, you might just be the one to lead your medical society and the entire field of healthcare into a brighter AI-powered future.
It's been such a pleasure sharing these insights with you and your listeners today.
Oh, the pleasure's all ours.
Hey.
I really appreciate you coming on.
Of course.
And sharing your expertise with us.
Happy to do it.
And that's a wrap on this deep dive into the world of LAMs. We hope you found this journey as thought-provoking and as inspiring as we have. Remember, the future is what we make it. So let's go out there and make it amazing. Thanks for listening.